Our team will be out there, and everybody's looking to, I think, ready to go about that. So, just regarding Kentucky, again, we know we have our hands full. They're an outstanding football team. They've played well all season, got a lot of momentum coming into this game, and you watch them; they're really impressive in every area. Offensively, defensively, special teams, very well coached, and they play hard, play tough, and they play in a tremendous conference, obviously. So we know, we've got our hands full on that challenge. And then, we have our last practice today, just like Kentucky. We'll both hit the field today for one last workout and then kind of kick into a game day mode, if you will. So I think we're all eager for that. And, again, just I think the thing about bowls, they're just a great, great reward. I've been around for a few of them now, and it just, when Mark was a player, even in the 80s, they were really special. And I think that hasn't changed at all. And it's just a reward for a great season. So it's a tremendous opportunity for all the players on both teams to be involved in great activities, things you normally wouldn't get exposed to. And, we've had a great, great week, and it'll be better if we play well tomorrow. So, that's our goal. And we know it's going to be a tough challenge. I'll throw it back. Thank you.
Thank you. To piggyback a little bit on Coach Ferentz, thank you to Steve Hogan, everybody involved in the Florida Citrus Bowl, first class. Treat us with great respect. It's the second time we've been here in a few years, and our players really enjoy it. So looking forward to getting to game day. Like Coach said, we will finish up our last practice here today and get ready to go. It's been a great week, but it's been a long week, and it's time to get going and get ready for this game. We're looking forward to the opportunity to play Iowa. I have great respect for Coach Ferentz. I've known Coach Ferentz for a long time in the Hawkeye program, being that I played there. So obviously I've followed them very closely and have great respect by the way they play, the way they're coached. They're extremely fundamental. They play extremely hard. And you always have an opportunity to win when you do that. Proud of our football team and the way we fought this year. Really, guys played very hard. They've been a joy to coach. So it's been a very good year, and looking forward to this last challenge here tomorrow. Our team is in relatively good shape. We'll see. We're going right down to the wire with a few guys as well as far as injury is concerned, but hopefully we'll be at full strength. So the guys have worked hard. They've enjoyed themselves. They really like being here. When we were leading up to this process and we knew that the Citrus was a viable option, the players were very excited about the opportunity to come back here. They really enjoyed themselves the last time they were here. You're going to play a great opponent coming from the Big Ten. So once again, we're excited. Guys have worked hard. I feel like we have a good balance of going through the week, enjoying the activities, enjoying Orlando, but also being very attentive in the meetings and having good quality practices. So it's that time, and we're looking forward to it.
All right, we'll open up for questions. We'll start on the left.
Kirk, Brian said that you guys have pretty much made up your mind at quarterback. Who will be the starting quarterback tomorrow?
No, I guess you'll know at 1 o'clock, probably before that, actually. But, I really don't think it's that big a deal. I know it is to everybody been asked about it. But, we have faith in both guys. Both have done a great job. And, ultimately, it's really more about how our team plays, quite frankly. And that's our goal, is to play good, team offense and hopefully, be able to move the ball and score some points.
Second row back, same side.
Scott, we can get the rest of
Hi, Scott Docterman from The Athletic. I was going to ask that question of you, Kirk, but I'm going to change to a second one. Without having Tyler Goodson, how do you plan to divide the carries, and what are kind of the advantages of the three backs who probably will see, whatever number you're going to plan to distribute?
Sure. Well, when Tyler made his decision, really wasn't counting on Ivory to be available. So, our plan was just to go with Gavin and LaShawn, and we got faith in both those guys. LaShawn really hasn't played much, but he's practiced really well. I think, as you know, he's kind of caught our attention last spring, really started to ascend. And then getting Ivory back is just a bonus for us. And, happy to say he's had 2 good weeks of practice right now. So he looks like he's in shape and looks like he's going to be fine. And that'll help us on our special teams as well. So, the answer is we'll probably play all 3 of them, rotate them in there. And, there'll be certain situations we may favor one over the other. But, I feel good about the group as a whole.
Stay up front, far left.
Coach Ferentz, kind of building on that, in this room, say about 5 years ago, we were having a conversation leading into the Citrus Bowl about Leonard Fournette missing games and stepping away, and everybody clutching their pearls about that, so to speak. Now it's become more commonplace. As far as it pertains to you guys, and from your point of view, if you could talk quickly about Tyler's situation, stepping away from the game, and also kind of your general opinion about player mobility in the college landscape right now.
Yeah, it's interesting as you ask that question. I flash back on, I don't like to share private conversations a lot, but I got a text from Bob Stoops, who came out of retirement. And he texted me after about 3 weeks on the job and just said, I don't know how you guys do it anymore. And that's after a 5-year. So it kind of times up with what you're pointing out. And that kind of struck me because, I know things are changing, but I didn't realize it was that dramatic in 5 years' time. But really, it's just part of the landscape that we're living in right now. I think we're seeing a lot of things none of us would have thought maybe were going to happen or could happen 5 years ago are happening now. And, it's just the world we live in. The whole world's changing. Certainly how it affects college football players change. And first of all, I respect Tyler's decision. I respect Tyler a great deal. And I kind of look at it a lot. To me, it's like anybody, your job is to do your job and do it as well as you can day in and day out. And if you do that, when you walk away, you should be, feel good about things. And Tyler's certainly done that. And I appreciate the fact that he was prompt with his decision, allowed us to prepare, knowing that we wouldn't have him. And a lot of appreciation for that. I've heard of cases that weren't like that, and that would be a little different situation to deal with. But again, it's just a sign of the times. We're dealing with a lot of things we, maybe didn't deal with 4 or 5 years ago, and you just kind of roll with the flow. Yep. Mm-hmm. Thank you.
On the 4th row and back on the aisle.
Mark, could you just kind of update the situation with Josh Paschal, and do you think he'll be able to play in this one tomorrow?
Yeah, I'm glad you Kentucky media woke up. I was enjoying my coffee, actually. Josh is highly questionable. He really wants to play, but I don't feel like I could play him with a clear conscience. He's given us everything, just like Coach said. You talk about these guys laying it on the line for you every day for years. And Josh, you folks that cover Kentucky, you've heard me talk about it many times. But Josh is a guy that just absolutely empties his tank each and every practice, each and every game. He re-aggravated an injury and made it worse, actually, in the Louisville game. And then he had some other health issues that he couldn't travel with us. He just got down here a couple days ago, and to be honest with you, I think it's highly questionable for him to play.
We're going to hop the aisle, stay on the same row on the right.
For both of you guys, Coach Stoops, any favorite memory of Hayden Fry? And then Kirk,
Yeah.
Kirk, any favorite memory of Mark?
Hayden Fry, well, we could tell you a few stories probably and get a kick out of him because he was such a beloved figure in Iowa for so long. Meant so much to my family. I think a memory that sticks out to me is the fact that Coach Fry, along with a few of his assistants, traveled to my father's funeral during the week when we're preparing to play Michigan. And at that point in time, just about every year, probably a lot like now, well, different sides, but at that point, it seemed like the winner of the Iowa-Michigan game had the upper hand to play in the Rose Bowl, a big football game, and he flew in that just to pay the respects to my mother and our family. It says an awful lot about him. He had a great impact on myself, my brothers, so many other players, and you see a lot of the characteristics that Hayden Fry started so many years ago still running with Coach Ferentz, and the way they run their organization, their first class and everything they do. And so, it's a special place.
I guess, the quick one I've shared is, we
Hey,
had
let's
3
not go there,
Stoopses.
Coach.
3 Stoopses play for us, and so Mark was the last one in line, and when he was sitting in Bill Brazier's office, Bill was Hayden's longtime coordinator, defensive coordinator, an outstanding coach, outstanding man. And later in the meeting that day, he says, I had to keep telling myself that's a Stoops. I couldn't believe, we're recruiting this guy. Mark looked like he was 14 when he was coming out of high school. So.
I wish I did now.
And I saw the whole family down in Las Vegas when Bob was inducted in the Hall of Fame 3 weeks ago, whenever it was. And I was teasing, the oldest brother, Ron, is actually the youngest looking because he didn't get into college coaching. Right?
Yeah, that's right, exactly. Yeah,
He's the smartest one out of all of us.
That's right.
We'll stay on the right and go up to the front row.
This one's for Coach Ferentz. I know you probably don't pay much attention to this, but the Big Ten is 5-0 this bowl season. Do you think that's an accurate reflection on the overall strength from the conference?
Yeah, I mean, honest answer is the only game I'm worried about is ours, quite frankly. Not to be self-centered, but that's really, my responsibility and our responsibility. But, we play in a great conference, and we knew that, especially knew it this year. Week in and week out, there were no easy games. And I think that's probably one thing I've noticed coming back, after a 9-year layoff from the Big Ten, just the competitiveness week in and week out. We've expanded. It's a tough conference, but you look around college football. There are a lot of conferences. These guys play in a really tough conference also, and it's I think that's one of the attractions of college football. There aren't not many layups out there. That's for sure. At least uncontested ones.
Back over on the left, second row.
Actually, I think this is true for both of you, but I'll start with Kirk. I know bowl games are very important to you, but I don't know if you're aware of this, but Iowa's never won 4 straight bowl games. You had an opportunity.
Didn't know that. Thank you.
You have an opportunity.
Thanks for sharing that one. Yeah. I know we've won 3 straight. I know that.
Yeah. You have an opportunity to do that and say, what would that mean? And I'm pretty sure that's accurate for Kentucky as well, right? You're going for your 4th straight.
That's correct.
If you could speak to that as well, Mark. Thanks.
Yeah, I think both of us just want to win. I mean, that's what you play for, and that's ultimately what you compete for. And it's not everything, but it makes a hell of a big difference. And my wife observed that about 35 or 38 years ago. It really gets down to that. And but yeah, I think our goal is just to play as hard as we can, play as well as we can, and then you let the chips fall where they may. And it's that. I'll throw a stat back at you. I think this is correct. We've been dogs in all but 2. Is that correct? And whatever it's been, 19 bowls, 18 bowls. So. Just seems to be the world we live in, but we'll see what we can do.
Don't take my role. That's usually us. So we like to feel the same way. But no, just the same thing Coach said. We're really worried about this year. Proud of this team and the way we fought this season. And I think it's important to all teams. I mean, you go to these bowls, you want to enjoy them, you find that balance. But ultimately, as I tell our players, the greatest memory they'll have is post game if you win. Collecting that trophy is important. So that's what we're playing for.
Staying on the left, over on the far side.
Yeah, actually, a question for both coaches. Both programs have outstanding offensive lines, kind of mainstay of the programs. In your opinion, what's the difference between a good offensive line and a really great offensive line?
You're the expert on O-line play, but I will say for us, I've always felt that way, really going back to my college days. One thing about the offensive line is they kind of set the tone for your team. First of all, there's a large group of them. There's 15, 16, 17, 18 large men walking around all the time, and just with their attitude, their persona, the way they carry themselves, the attitude, the toughness that they carry kind of sets the tone for your team. So it's extremely important. Both leagues are a line of scrimmage league. You need to be good on both sides of the line of scrimmage, and it kind of starts there. So we've been fortunate, and I can remember Coach all the way back to him being a position coach the time I was there, and he kind of set the tone at the University of Iowa a long, long time ago. I will not date him on that, but it was a long time ago, and he did a great job with offensive line play, and we're proud to carry that tradition at Kentucky. We always want to be better, but you got to be big, you got to be physical, and that's certainly Iowa, and that's certainly something at Kentucky we're trying to be.
Yeah, I'd echo that. It gives you a chance to win, and that and playing good defense and good special teams give you a chance to win any game. And complement Kentucky's line, and there is a difference right now. We're not as veteran as we'd like to be. We have as good a center as there's in the country, although they've got an outstanding center as well. And then we were a little bit, we had a tough year outside of that, just in terms of we had a couple of guys, veteran players that were injured. So we played a lot of young guys this year, but we're 13 games into it now. We should be better. We should be more developed than we were back in September, and I think I've seen progress each and every day of practice with our group, and hopefully that'll show tomorrow. It's going to need to if we're going to have a chance in this game.
Going all the way to the back on the aisle.
Both coaches, this is Melissa Thomas with Florida National News. So my question for both of you is, given the turbulent year that was 2021, obviously a lot of these bowl games, it's usually the seniors that are playing. Kind of talk about the importance of you guys instilling leadership in those players and the leadership you've seen them exhibit with their teams.
Thanks, Coach. It's extremely important. Leadership, neither team would be here without the leadership provided by our seniors in what goes on in our program. And I think that is going to carry through tomorrow. Again, finding that balance of coming here, enjoying yourself, but when you step on the practice field, when you step in the meetings, being locked in to win the football game. I think it's extremely important, once again, to the folks here. They put on a first-class bowl game. They expect a good game, and we certainly feel that obligation and look forward to the challenge.
I think leadership, if you're going to have a good football team and nobody makes it to this bowl game without having a good team, this is such a prestigious bowl. You have to have leadership, and the best leadership comes from within. We do so much as coaches, set the tone, all that type of thing. That when the players are the ones that they play the game and they dictate the tempo of things in our building, on the field, but most importantly away from the building. And we've got a fairly young team. It really jumped out at me last spring, especially you look at the pandemic. We had 70 guys that had never been through a spring practice that were out there on the field, 70 out of 100. But our leaders, our upperclassmen, have been really good, and that's given us a chance to have a successful year. And I think in football especially, football is so unique as a sport. It's one guy is not going to lead you to a championship. It's impossible in any level, pro, college, high school, whereas in other sports you can see that happen. And, we only get 12, 13, 14 opportunities a year. We don't play 20 games or 30 games, 40 games. So it's more about the preparation. It's more about the day-to-day, and I think that's, where the concept of teamwork and leadership, chemistry amongst each other, that's what determines the success of a team. And like I said, neither team would be here right now if they didn't have those characteristics, ingrained in the program. So, it's a real compliment to the players involved on both sides.
Going back over to the left.
Coach Ferentz, how do you talk to your team about getting the bad taste out of their mouth from the Big Ten championship and focusing on all the great things you did this year?
That was our single message, and I repeated the same message twice, 2 separate meetings. Immediately following, our guys took a little break. We played on a Saturday. We met, I think, Tuesday morning, then circled back that weekend. And, first thing, it's like anything. It's like in season as well. You put it behind you. You learn from it. Anything you do, you learn from it. You examine it, learn from it, move on. And our focus has been, hey, we've had a great year. We've won 10 games. I think it's the 10th time in Iowa football history. Team's won 10 games and got an opportunity to win 11. So let's focus on that. We have a good team. We have great guys. Let's move forward. Put it behind us. And it's kind of like a corner that gets beat or an offensive tackle when everybody knows, who was that guy that got beat for the sack or the touchdown. You got to keep playing. So that's what we're going to do. And our focus is straight ahead. Outlook is always forward, Dave. Dwight Eisenhower, right? That's where it is.
We're going over onto the right, second row.
This is for both of you, if you would. Having both won 3 straight bowls, what's the difference in the months that follow in a program after you've won one as opposed to not winning or not even playing in one?
Yeah, I'll say the next 3 days are pretty damn good. Because you don't have to work, all right? You're done. And, you can actually finally, for one time in the season, really enjoy things. And, because what we do, we're always kind of, like as pertains to the last question, we're looking forward. What's the next challenge? What's the next thing to get ready, et cetera. This is the one time of year where you can really just, when we get on the plane tomorrow, I'll go home and there's no agenda, no itinerary. So it's going to be nice just to, look back a little bit. So, it's a hell of a lot better after one, I can tell you that. So, you learn that when you're in third grade, probably.
So normally we have the 24-hour rule, right? Really about 12. By the time we get home, we got to bury that game and get ready to go to work the next Sunday. So just like Coach said, maybe we can enjoy this one for 2 or 3 days. But I think that's the same thing, just momentum, maybe helping you a little bit, enjoying a little bit of time as we try to decompress and rest up a little bit and give your staff a little bit of time and your team a little bit of time, give you a little momentum heading into the winter and into the spring. But other than that, it's just like any other game. The highs are high and the lows are low. So always trying to end on a high note.
Going to the back again on the aisle.
For both coaches, but getting off to a good start tomorrow and kind of putting the pressure on the opposition, what would that mean for your ball club, Coach Stoops?
I think it's important, but I think with both teams, that you wouldn't be here if you didn't have the resiliency to continue to fight and to finish. It's about finishing the game, and starting is important, but finishing it is probably more important.
Echo the same thing. It'd be great to get off to a good start, but chances are it's going to be a 60-minute game. That'd be my guess. Yeah. We don't play many that aren't that way. If we have a lead.
Ditto.
On the right.
Mark, you've talked a lot about the transfer portal and just the realities of roster turnover. How important was it for you to let those guys who may already be in the portal still play and make this trip? It seems like several of those guys are here with you.
Yeah, I thought it was important. Those guys helped us get here. They've worked extremely hard. They've been valuable members of our football team since they arrived on campus. If they wouldn't have been, they wouldn't be at this bowl game. So they're, as long as they're completely positive, working extremely hard, they deserve the opportunity to come here and enjoy some of this experience. Sometimes now in this new world we're in, it's mutual. You have hard conversations with guys. You give them the reality of what the situation is, and they make choices. So, I'm glad they're here. All the guys have worked extremely hard, and we want to help them land on their feet with a new opportunity.
Up one row on the right in the blue.
Coach Stoops, we often talk about these moments where it's more than a game, and I think we got that earlier this month with Iowa, donating to the tornado relief funds. When you heard that was going to happen, what went through your mind? And knowing it was your alma mater, what does that mean to you? What does that say about Iowa football and the university itself?
Well, first of all, it really didn't surprise me. Really to take time during that moment said a lot about Coach Ferentz, his wife Mary, the entire program, the entire state. Certainly with Coach and I, when that tornado hit, we were probably at the peak of being busy. The season is difficult, but the way this calendar falls right now, we're extremely busy during that time of year. And that tornado was so close to myself, and you have a tendency to get so wrapped up in what you're doing that you need to step out of that box and take a look at what's going on. And that was certainly for myself, and it was so close to me. But to have Coach reach out and do that, and people throughout the state, just says a lot about Iowa. It says a lot about Coach. It says a lot about Iowa football. It says a lot about the state, and it was greatly appreciated.
Up one row on the right.
Hi, Coach Ferentz, Andy Sabo, Big Ten Network. I know you haven't faced Kentucky, but you have seen guys like Will and Wandell in a Big Ten capacity. So can you kind of speak to?
Yeah, thanks for reminding me.
Yeah, can you speak to?
They've gotten better too, by the way.
Yeah. So what kind of advantages are there to having faced them?
I don't know if it's an advantage. We just, we know they're good players, and I'm serious. I think they're playing at a really high level right now. They played well at their previous schools, but they're playing at a really high level. So it's, there are a lot of challenges for us tomorrow, but those are two of the guys that come to mind. Throwing the running backs. throw in the offensive line. I mean, go right down the list. They've got a lot of really good players, but how they're utilizing their talents and abilities, it's very, very impressive, and they're very explosive. Yep.
We're going back to the left to Scott.
Yeah, this question's from Coach Stoops. Have you ever had a quarterback before eat a banana whole? And what did you think when you saw that from Will?
I've really just dismissed that question, to be honest with you. I think Coach and I are a lot alike when it comes to that kind of stuff. But so be it. If he wants to eat a banana with the peel on, go for it. You know, as long as he continues to practice and play the way he does, then whatever fuels him, I'm good with. But he's a character. But I tell you, he's wired the right way. And one thing about Will is he may have a little fun with social media and doing things of that nature, but he is all business. The minute he walks in our building, he is wired correctly. Probably puts too much pressure on himself. He really is a super competitive guy. Works extremely hard in the meeting room, studies, works, plays that way, lays it on the line for his teammates. If he has to lower his shoulder and try to get tough yards, he'll do it. So he's really playing at a high level, and we're appreciative of that.
Up in the front on the right.
Mark, do you see many similarities between the way Iowa plays defense now under Phil Parker compared to when you guys played under Bill Brazier?
I do. You know, with Phil, you know, and his staff and coach's staff and what they do and the way they play, you know, I'll be honest with you. I'll tell you a story. When we first started, we were obviously finishing recruiting, and I knew we were playing at the Hawks and all that, and then we started watching film, and immediately it put a smile on my face. Well, it was a frown and a smile, you know, because the frown was, oh damn, they're pretty darn good, and but the smile was, I love the fundamentals of the game. And Phil, in his defense and the entire program, you see that the minute you put on the film. So for me to go back and haven't competed against the Hawks in a long time, but seeing the black and gold and seeing the way they play fundamentally, just you have an appreciation as a coach. The greatest compliment you could give any coach is to put on that screen and you see the way they play. And they play extremely hard, and they play extremely fundamental, and their scheme is fantastic. So you put all that together, it's a pretty darn good product.
Going back over to the left.
Kirk, you touched on it a little bit, but could you describe him as a player?
Not very good.
I wasn't there for his whole career, but no, he was an excellent football player. And I'll go back to Bob. Bob was the first Stoops I was introduced to. And Mark just mentioned Phil Parker. I always looked across the field at Phil Parker at Michigan State and thought he could be a Stoops. So my point is, like, all four of the guys I know, the three Stoopses, Mark included, and Phil, were smart, tough players. You know, they maybe weren't as gifted as some other guys. They didn't go on and have NFL careers, but they played the game the way it's supposed to be played. They really knew what they were doing, and they're physically and mentally tough. And Mark was the same way. Just had a great career, great leader, just an outstanding individual. And you know, the University of Iowa was, you know, just so fortunate to have Mark and his brothers, you know, have been former players. Just great people. And I'm not surprised at all at the success everybody in that group has had in the profession. You know, coaching. It's great for coaching that they are involved, and not only as good coaches, but the kind of people they are. And that's probably more important in my opinion.
Just time for a couple more. We're going to go on the back right.
Mark, I think this is your sixth straight bowl game at Kentucky. And Bo, I'm Dick Averill of the UK Radio Network. It seems like in bowl season, every once in a while, a team shows up kind of flat, and the game is reflected that way. I'm not going to ask you to comment on anybody else's team, but it seems like win or lose, your teams have always played hard and played about as well as they can. Why do you think that is?
I think you say that about both teams because of the pride in the leadership in the organization. I think that's a big piece of it. Just like Coach mentioned earlier, really the same at Kentucky. You want to be player-led. It starts with them. It's the way they come prepared, what their mindset is, and we work on that from day one, in the summer, all the way through. And, I think there is a fine balance in bowl games. You want them to enjoy it, but again, there has to be a discipline, and you have to be serious when you get into the meeting room and on the practice field. And our players have responded. Hopefully, we'll do that again.
All right, last question will be on the left, third row.
Hey, for both of you, what is a trait about the other or about the other's teams that you maybe envy or wish you could replicate?
For me, it's as I mentioned earlier, it's the respect I have for the way Iowa plays. I want opposing coaches to put on the film and feel the same way about our team. And that's a team that is fundamentally sound, that plays the game with great technique. There's a lot of cute stuff you can do, but it's about being physical and being fundamental and playing extremely hard. And yes, we have to put them in a position strategically to be successful. But the game of football is not going to change. It's about blocking. It's about being physical. It's about getting off blocks and containing the football and playing with leverage and all the basics. And that's what you see when you see Iowa, and hopefully that's what you see when you put on the film on Sunday after we play this game.
Yeah, I'd echo the same things, and I think couple thoughts. I mean, I think it's almost like looking in the mirror. We don't run the same exact schemes, but I think there are a lot of similar traits in the programs. And the guys compete. They play hard, compete, and they make you earn things. They make the opponent earn what they get. And that's I think, a goal any coach has anytime you play. And I'd also echo, you don't get to a game like this by luck, or by chance. It just doesn't work that way. It's a season long of, hard work and guys doing things well. And the other thing I think, maybe mirrors is just the success long-term of the programs. And I'm not an expert on college football. I kind of pay attention to some stuff, but I don't know how many coaches have been in one program for 9 years. It's probably a small number. It probably is a small number. And I'm not an expert on Kentucky football history, but I'd think this has been a pretty good run. And I don't think that happens by accident. And I think both of us would agree a lot of that goes back to our roots. In the 80s, at Iowa. It just gave us a good foundation to build off of and at least have a clue, what it takes to be successful on a continual basis.
Gentlemen, thank you for your time. Good luck tomorrow.
Thank you.
Thank you.